won the toss. They deferred, so it will be Duke to start out with the football today. It's been a rainy weekend, rained hard at times yesterday. It's been raining steadily all morning. And the Blue Devils in their black jerseys, and the ball will head through the end zone for a touchback. And Duke will bring it out to start at their own 25, led by their first-year quarterback, Thomas Sirk, the 6'4", 220-pound junior out of Florida, hitting on 65% of his passes. He's not only their leading passer, but also their leading rusher.
This is a team that's differently led than Boone last year at the quarterback position. They're going to run the ball 50, 55 times, a lot of short passing game. The question is, and the deficiency right now, is plays down the field, stretching the defense vertically. That'll be key today in this game.
And it'll be interesting if he can utilize that with all the rain that we've had here in town. He'll work out of the gun, and he'll throw the bubble screen to one of his receivers. That is John L. Barnes, the junior out of Lehigh Acres, Florida. For Thomas Sirk, tops in the ACC in total offense, as well as throwing and rushing with the ball. He's also got Powell and Wilson in the backfield.
Yeah, 1-2 punch, speed, power, and quickness. And Freeman at the defensive end will be someone that David Cutcliffe will worry about today in this game.
Freeman, the sophomore from Georgia, with a bright future. Going to the outside again, this is Chris Taylor, the redshirt freshman out of Miramar, Florida, getting his second start. The tackle made by Damon Smith.
Coach Cutcliffe talked about these receivers. They're special in space last week, didn't break a lot of tackles. When they get the ball outside, they want to see these young players get up the field and make people miss.
We'll continue to go with 5 receivers. Sean Wilson slotted to the right. Sirk, that was the quarterback draw, gets it out to midfield, and another nice gainer on first down. It'll be 2nd and short. P.J. Davis with the stop.
Sirk, big, strong quarterback. He's got big, powerful legs. He said he's a sore cat after the games when he's playing football, running the ball a bunch. But he's going to be a key. You got to wrap him up to bring the big man down.
Wilson will stay in the game as the offset back. They'll put a tight end in the backfield, and a little trouble on the exchange, and they turn it over. Georgia Tech says they've got the fumble. Sirk and Wilson got tied up, couldn't decide who was going to take it, and they'll give it away to Georgia Tech, and it's recovered by Keyshawn Freeman.
Biggest thing you worry about is quarterback, running back exchange, and right here, the running back looks like he wants the ball, and Thomas Sirk's trying to pull it out. Again, you can't have these interactions between quarterback and running back, and look who falls on it, Keyshawn Freeman. We talked about him as an impact player. All around the football, huge play for this Georgia Tech football team.
Big story last year when Duke beat Georgia Tech to end a 10-game losing streak to the Yellow Jackets. Duke won the turnover battle, and now Georgia Tech gets the first one this year. And as you just saw, Georgia Tech very good at capitalizing on those takeaways.
Yeah, you want Georgia Tech's offense to work 80 yards if you can, get them back and make them earn their touchdowns through plays, multiple plays, force them to make mistakes. When you shorten the field down, always tough for a defense.
Paul Johnson and his defensive coordinator, Ted Roof, very good. They're now +5 on the season already in takeaways as they run the dive up the middle. Paul Johnson is now in his 8th season running the spread option. 3 times the ACC Coach of the Year. They made it all the way to the Orange Bowl, won it a season ago with an 11-3 record. They finished in the top 10 in the country, their best finish since they won the national championship 25 years ago. Patrick Scove is in at fullback. They'll try and jam him up the middle, and he's stuffed there by Carlos Ray.
Coach Johnson talked about this was his worst game they played as an offense against Notre Dame last week. 70 missed assignments on the offensive side. I think he embellished that a little bit, but I think he was trying to get his point across to his players. They have to execute better against a very good Duke defense.
They led the nation in rushing a year ago. They are 2nd behind Navy so far this season, rushing at about 7 yards per carry. And a short gain again for Scove. It'll set up a 3rd and long. Tanashi Bear with the tackle as Duke today shifts from a 4-2-5 defense to a 4-3 to deal with the option.
Well, they're trying to get in a balanced set. Don't give Georgia Tech any advantages. Duke on third downs, one of the best in the country. Team's only converting 18% of the time. Watch number 16, Cash, on defense. He's the guy that makes all the plays in the right spots. See if they'll challenge him on offense.
The keeper for Thomas corralled just inside the 35 by Dion Williams, the new starter at defensive end today. Well short of the first down, and it looks like they will send the punting unit out here for Georgia Tech.
Again, we talked about it earlier. Georgia Tech off of turnovers usually comes with some presence on offense. They're going to go field goal here. Yep. Take a shot.
They will bring the kicker out instead. It's Harrison Butker, a 52-yard attempt. He's 0 for 2 on the season, missed twice against Notre Dame last week. He has hit 50-yarders in his career, and he'll go for another one here. Butker. And he's got it. The 52-yard field goal to start things off for Tech as they score points off of the turnover. So they get the fumble and are able to convert. Butker back on track. A shaky game last week. He nails the 52-yarder today.
ESPN College Football is presented by 5 Hour Energy and in part by Lexus and their pursuit of perfection.
And we welcome you back inside Wallace Wade Stadium, the brand new Brooks Field. Well, you saw some construction going on over by the chapel. Construction as well here at the football stadium and right next door at Cameron Indoor Stadium. Lots of development going on around this Duke football program in Wallace Wade Stadium. And a lot of it to do with the success in recent years that David Cutcliffe has brought in. And now in his 8th season, the first time in school history, they've had back-to-back 9-win seasons. 10 of them a couple of years ago. The first time in school history, they've gone to 3 consecutive bowls. And now they're trying to break through to get an ACC championship and a bowl victory. Neither of those has happened since the 1960s, but Cutcliffe talked to us yesterday. The way they get that done is by focusing not on the end of the journey, but the day-to-day. As Sirk back to the air. The last time Duke had it, they fumbled it, and that led to a field goal for Georgia Tech. Max McCaffrey, the senior from Castle Rock, Colorado, with the catch.
He's their most consistent receiver. That's been a big question mark, is receivers being in the right spots with the young talent they have.
Circle keep, runs it up the middle, has a first down out to the 45-yard line. That time much cleaner on the ball fake to the running back, Shaquille Powell, and a 17-yard pickup.
Yeah, huge hole inside, and Sirk says, listen, I'll just go pull this out a little quicker and get a big run. Does a nice job hitting that seam between the guard and the center for the big run.
Another receiver screen. They get it out to the edge again to Chris Taylor, the redshirt freshman. They want to use what they talk about, their short space quickness in this wide receiver group.
And you're starting to see a lot of footballs bounce out of hands early. You got a little drizzle here in this football game. It'll be something to track. Ball's getting wet. I'm sure that grass is very damp, raining the last 2 days. Keep an eye on this throughout the game.
So quickly gets it out to the edge again to Chris Taylor. Georgia Tech doesn't think he completed the catch, and it is in fact called incomplete. Good job by the officials to talk that over.
You know, offensive coordinator Scotty Montgomery talked about getting to the sticks, knowing the situation. Again, there would have been a short catch of the 6 for the first down. If they're going to run those routes in these short third down situations, they got to know where they're at in stick placement.
3rd and 3. Sirk looking right, and it goes through the hands of the intended receiver, and then a flag comes down. Looking for Chris Taylor, DJ White on the coverage.
Yeah, it looked like both receiver and defensive back were very physical at engaging each other. Again, the defensive back cannot touch the receiver past 5 yards.
There are 2 fouls on the play. Illegal formation against the offense. 5 men in the backfield. Pass interference. Defense, number 28. Those penalties offset. 3rd down.
Look at the top of the screen here. The tight end's got to get up on the line of scrimmage so he looks like he's behind the tackle. And then look at number 28, DJ White, upper right corner, hands all over the wide receiver. After the receiver gets past 5 yards, you cannot put your hands on the wide receiver.
So we redo the 3rd and 3 for Duke. 4-man rush from Georgia Tech. The dump off to Powell. He's got the room to get the 1st down into Tech territory and down to the 42-yard line. Telemar Cortez with the tackle.
Thomas Sirk's a very conservative quarterback for me when I watch him on film. Doesn't make a lot of mistakes. Only 1 interception on the season, so he's going to check down a lot if he doesn't feel good about the deep balls.
Powell off the left side, good cutback down to the 30-yard line, and that'll be enough for a 1st down. Nice block from John L. Barnes. We see a lot of quick stuff, Anthony. We see him checking one way and going the other way. They've worked a lot on progression reads and where to find the open man.
And I think you talk about that progression. How can they get the ball down the field and let it kind of play out a little faster and take that time as a quarterback?
Now up the middle. Spins down to the 26-yard line. P.J. Davis with the stop. Powell is the senior out of Las Vegas. Was their leading rusher a year ago, over 600 yards. He will stay in the backfield. 8th play of the drive here for the Blue Devils, and it's Powell once again down to the 21-yard line. It'll set up a 3rd and short.
And they're feeding the ball downhill between their 2 best linemen. Patrick, the left guard, Skura, all-conference center. Being physical was being addressed this week in practice. Probably the hardest week of practice these 2 players have had. David Cutcliffe turned the dial up on this football team, see if they'll respond today early.
Talked a lot about trying to be the lowest team and getting that pad leverage. Here they go now on 3rd and 2. Powell following right behind his tight end who was in the backfield, and he's got the 1st down inside the 15 behind David Reeves.
Talked about the tight ends, Beth. Pressure's on the tens, not to be receivers, but to be blockers. Try to funnel through the hole. Again, going over the left guard. Patrick, that's an area they've been attacking early in this football game.
And down, Powell inside the 10. Damon Smith out of the secondary to make the stop. Another nice little chunk, 6 yards on 1st down.
Again, wearing down the defensive line. You see they're getting tired. So far, this offensive line's been aggressive, setting the tempo.
Powell again, room up the middle, down to about the 3. They really like Matt Skura, their 5th-year senior center out of Columbus, Ohio. He's a difference maker up front for Duke.
Coach Cutcliffe said he wouldn't trade him for anybody in the country. Loves the way he plays. He's that 2nd quarterback on the field when it comes to picking out, IDing the mic, and some of those linebackers and blitzes the teams will bring.
And it's been exclusively Shaquille Powell at running back after the fumble between Sirk and Wilson on their 1st possession, and whistles here on 3rd down.
First charge
Duke calls
timeout.
the timeout. We will take the timeout with them. A big 3rd down coming up for Duke inside the Tech 10. Tonight at 8 o'clock on ABC, also streaming live on your Watch ESPN app. It's a big day for the Pac-12. A big 3rd and 2 here for Duke. 12th play of the drive. Can they keep it going? Yes, they can. They won't need another play. Touchdown, Blue Devils.
Right now, the interior offensive line for Duke is handling the inside defensive players for Georgia Tech. You see the holes open, and right now Powell's working his way up the field, getting inside. Got to make tackles. Paul Johnson talked about missed tackles. This defense needs to step up and make more tackles.
That was Skura and Stone and Blazer on the right side of the line, and a terrific block. Braxton Deaver, the tight end, as they go 12 plays, 75 yards, 42 of those yards from Powell, as they drive down the field and immediately respond to the Georgia Tech field goal. The extra point is good from Ross Martin, one of the top scorers in ACC history.
Give it to your big back, Powell, down the middle, 205 pounds. He's the speed and power they need to smash the defensive line of Georgia Tech.
Duke responds to the Georgia Tech field goal, and they take the lead 7-3 on the short touchdown run for Shaquille Powell. That's his first rushing TD of the season. And they marched right down the field and really didn't give Tech much of a chance on that drive. 12 plays, 75 yards, very methodical. They try and drop in an onside kick over the front line, and it appears that Tech was able to get on it. And it will be Georgia Tech football. How about an update now? Back to the studio.
All right, Beth, Anthony, Chris Cotter back here in Bristol. Michigan State on the board early in East Lansing. Madre London taking this one in from 6 yards out after a long completion to McGarrett Kings. It's 7-0. Michigan State on top of the Chippewas. Beth?
Well, thank you very much, Chris. Well, a big week certainly for the Big Ten, as Ohio State, Michigan State are the top two teams in the most recent poll. It's the highest rank for the Spartans since that epic 1966 season. Of course, they still will have to face off during the regular season in Big Ten play. And they'll run it right up the middle with Patrick Scove. Down to the field now, Paul Carcaterra.
Well, preparing for the Georgia Tech triple option could be a daunting task, but do not tell Duke senior safety Jeremy Cash that. I had a chance to catch up with Cash earlier in the week. He told me that you can't be fooled by the sleight of hand. Georgia Tech likes to disguise and use tricks. So he plans on giving them a dose of their own medicine. Look for him to show and line up one way and go another. 16 in black will be all over the field today.
Folks, watch number 16. Think of Cam Chancellor when you're watching this young man. He brings that kind of force to the defense against offenses. One of the best defensive players I've seen on tape.
Cam Chancellor, of course, getting set to return to the field for the Seattle Seahawks after its holdout. But what kind of bluffs? You know, they talked a little bit yesterday about different looks and different blitzes. Is that what they're going to do with Cash?
Well, they're going to put him inside gap. They're going to fake him on the outside as an outside rusher, because Georgia Tech's going to be cognizant of where he lines up, because he's such a factor in this team right now. You see him inside. He peeks around right now on the inside. He tries to poke his nose in there against this offense.
3rd and 2 for Tech. Cash showing he's coming. He gets bumped to the side. The pitch. And the rest of the Blue Devils are right there to swarm. DeAndre Singleton with the tackle on Clinton Lynch. And a 4-yard loss, and it's 4th down.
Cash is going to shoot the gap here again. He is a factor, even though he gets blocked. They have to bring a body on him. But when they get it outside, you better make sure your alley defender is there to make a tackle. Number 33, Singleton, does a nice job at getting off his block and being physical. The one thing you can say about these defensive backs at Duke is that they're going to come up and hit somebody. Right there is a perfect example.
And the snap goes over the head of the Tech punter, Ryan Rodwell. He tried to pass it upfield.
My goodness. Rodwell tried to throw a bit of a pass there to get the ball out of the way. It looks like
that will be, since that was 4th down, are they ruling that an incomplete pass here? which instead of Rodwell falling on the loose ball all the way back around his own 20-yard line, the line of scrimmage is back out closer to midfield.
That's a question right there. One, he has to get it back to that line of scrimmage. Now,
which he did.
Was 99 even a eligible player to catch the ball?
He actually turned and got his head up to see where the Duke players were coming. And it looks like they are going to spot the ball and turn it over on downs to the Blue Devils back out at the 48-yard line.
So right now, a heads-up play by your punter, saving the day there on a poor snap.
Cirk with all day, looking deep. And the catch is made inside the 20-yard line, Max McCaffrey.
Coach talked about the deep ball in this football game and letting the play develop, letting the receivers get in their routes. And this is something I wanted to keep my eye on. Look at the patience by Cirk. Gets the ball down the field. 32-yard pass completion. That's how you push the ball down the field, letting the play develop.
They are working a quicker tempo right now. Paul?
Anthony, do you remember we met with Coach Cutcliffe yesterday? He mentioned when a wide receiver and a quarterback on the same page, he only says one term to them: Peyton Manning.
You're right. He wants them to figure it out. Peyton was a quarterback that got to his receivers and made sure and pushed them to be in the right spots every time. He wants Cirk to be that same kind of quarterback. Coaches will coach some receivers, but he wants a quarterback to lead the show.
Flags before the snap. They're going to get a false start on the left side of the line.
Offense, number 76, 5-yard penalty. Take it down.
Gabe Brandner is the sophomore out of South Carolina. Yeah, Peyton was always on the same page as the receivers, and it's been an adjustment. There's been some turnover in this receiving corps for Duke, in particular the loss of Jamison Crowder to the NFL, and so guys are still trying to figure each other out a little bit. They were on the same page on that pass play. Sean Wilson is the motion man. Cirk off the ball fake. He's a big guy, and he's breaking tackles inside the 15. Damon Smith finally wrapped him up at the 11, and a gain of 8. Not just their leading passer, but their leading rusher as well on the season. He's run for a couple of scores.
Look at those big tree trunks legs there. He's 220, probably 225. But again, he's a tough quarterback to bring down, and when you're going against him as a defense, you got to go low, you got to wrap him up and get those other 10 players to come in and gang tackle this big guy.
They really spread the field here, 5 wide. On 3rd down and 5. Cirk across the middle. Touchdown Duke. T.J. Ramming. Ramming had been the starter, replaced by Chris Taylor, and now trying to work his way back in there, 11-yard strike.
Watch Cirk here. He's going to sell it head straight, pull that safety out of there. Hole opens up nice for Ramming. And they talked about Ramming being a young player they really like, but he doesn't quite get in the right spot. Found the open seam, get a nice connection.
And some more, perhaps, weather-related issues for special teams. The PAT squirts away from the holder, Will Monday. 13-3 Duke.
Vision, watch him sell the safety. His eyes never come off, and then last minute makes a great progression to Ramming on the outside, hits the seam, beautiful pass, great catch. Duke with a 14-3 lead.
Well, the college football season continues with a big doubleheader coming your way. Texas A&M and Arkansas tonight at 7. And then USC Arizona State at 10:30 tonight on ESPN and on your Watch ESPN app. Of course, for Texas A&M, they're trying to hand the Hogs a 3rd straight defeat, and John Chavis, their new defensive coordinator.
Well, I think the biggest thing you see on that screen is #1 in sacks right now. 2 defensive ends, Myles Garrett, Deshaun Hall, probably the best 1-2 punch defensive end combination in the country.
John Golden set to return the short kick. And he'll only make it out to the 20-yard line. Another studio update. Here's Chris Cotter.
Taco Bell studio update, Beth, and we're going to start between the hedges where Georgia's opened it up against Southern early. Nick Chubb going to take the quick screen pass and take it to the house. Grayson Lambert does have an incomplete pass in this one as well. That's a big story. Georgia up 10-0 over on ABC.
ESPN.
Michigan and BYU. What a murderous schedule for BYU early. And Jake Rudock adds to their pain with this little scamper along the right side. Michigan up 7-0. That game on ABC, Beth.
Thank you very much, Chris. On the run, Justin Thomas, the quarterback, thrown to the turf by Deion Williams. Senior out of Long Beach, California, getting the start today in their 4-3 alignment after they made the move from the 4-2-5 because of the option.
And he's normally a linebacker kind of body, so they like his quickness. Playing defensive end, but shedding blocks and having speed to make big plays. Right there, he shows his versatility and while he's playing there.
Just 10 plays and only 21 yards rushing so far for Georgia Tech. Their points coming on a 52-yard field goal, converted off of a turnover. Thomas will keep, but he's tripped up. Down at the 21-yard line, Tanashi Bear, the other new starter in the lineup at middle backer. Duke talked about winning the battles up front with their defensive tackles and the man in the middle.
Yeah, the middle linebacker's going to have to take that long trek across the field and hit that alley hard. Right there, comes off clean. No one there to block him. Big play, 3rd and long. Again, we talked about Duke's success on defense on 3rd down. Georgia Tech's going to have to pass in this situation. Hasn't been strong early this year for this team.
Thomas on the rollout. Here comes Jeremy Cash, and down he goes.
You better find number 16 if you're a Georgia Tech offensive player and get your hands on him. You see him at the top of your screen. They try to chop him, but when he's one of the top tackle for a loss players in the country, gets his 6th of the season, one of the more dominant players, you have to find ways to block him. Right now, Georgia Tech's struggling offensively.
Second best in the ACC in tackles for loss. Nice punt, Ryan Smith breaking some tackles. Ryan Smith looking to get by the punter and does. The cut back at the 40. Staying on his feet inside the 10, looking for the pylon. And they call it a touchdown for Duke. What a return from Ryan Smith.
It's been the biggest phase of this game.
They will check his footwork down the sideline and review the scoring play.
The ruling on the field is a touchdown. Sideline warning against Duke. This is their first warning.
How about the full extension from the 4-yard line to lay out to get it into the end zone? It didn't look like he stepped out of bounds.
Bishop Gorman, high school junior here. Watch him. Don't see his feet here, but watch the effort, folks. About to get tackled, keeping his balance, lunges from the 4. Looks like he was touched. The ball didn't look like it crossed the goal line.
Yep. Looks like he stayed in bounds, but Anthony, he may not have gotten the ball across before he's down right about there. Elbow appears to be down just inside the 1.
Great shot right there by our video guys. Clearly down. Again, in college, if you're touched and the ball is not over the goal line, it'll be on that spot of where the elbow hit.
69 yards on the return, so a bad snap on a punt for Georgia Tech, and now the long return given up to Ryan Smith. It stands right now as a touchdown. They are taking a closer look.
You know, obviously Ryan Smith, he's got some wiggle, he's got some juice, he's got to make the four guys miss, but then it's the blocks up front. And again, anytime you get one-on-one with the kicker, it's never a pretty sight. And then you got to use your speed up the sideline. Great effort to try to get into the end zone, even though it looks like he'll probably come back on being short.
Little microcosm too right there for both teams. Duke said they wanted to break more tackles. Georgia Tech said they needed to tackle better. And Duke wins that 1v1 battle around midfield. Ryan Smith, and it looks like they're going to put him down just outside the goal line.
And David Cutcliffe talked about special teams has to be addressed.
After further review, the player's right elbow hit the field of play. The ball be placed at the 1-yard line. First and goal.
Good hustle, too, by Step Durham, the defensive back. They're working special teams to take Smith down a yard shy.
And I know you talked about Powell being that big back, but let's not forget Thomas Sirk, 10 rushing touchdowns. This is his zone. He kind of sniffs end zone when they get close. Watch the big man. It's been tough for this defense to bring him down. 2
short yardage touchdowns in Duke's win a year ago over Georgia Tech. Looks like he'll be in the backfield with Shaquille Powell. They'll run 2 tight ends. Powell, right up the middle. Touchdown, Blue Devils. Second TD run of the day for Shaquille Powell.
It's good to have options, obviously, when you have a back as big as Powell that can get downhill. And the surge by your offensive line in the middle. And it starts with all-conference center, number 62, Skura, getting a block. Down blocks by number 67, the left guard, Patrick. Opens it up, and when you need a yard and you got a back and a quarterback like these two, again, watch the push and the surge. Powell getting behind the big offensive lineman, getting himself another touchdown.
And another miscue on the PAT. That's a pair of them for Duke, and Will Monday, the holder. Nonetheless, 6 more points on the board for Duke, courtesy of the nice return by Ryan Smith.
High up.
It's been a rough start for Georgia Tech. Duke more than happy to take advantage. A 19-3 lead in the ACC opener for these two. The last 3 Coastal Division championships, a couple for Georgia Tech and 1 for Duke. Brandon Wreck, an 11-win season a year ago, won the Orange Bowl over Mississippi State. But one of those losses was to Duke down in Atlanta. Now to the 15 on the return. Chris Cotter's got an update for us.
All right, Beth, Anthony, let's update everybody on what Leonard Fournette is doing. LSU in the Carrier Dome taking on Syracuse. I can tell you he already has 85 yards rushing in the first quarter, including this 14-yard touchdown run. LSU on top 7-0 right now, Beth.
Well, Syracuse fans may not like him so much today, but they loved him last night. Did you see Leonard when he was, after their walkthrough at the Carrier Dome, he had a nice tweet about all the great running backs at Syracuse, the number 44s, and Jim Brown and Heisman Trophy winner Ernie Davis giving a shout out to the guys that ran the ball before he did. And how about Thomas with the breakaway run here out across the 40-yard line for the quarterback, the junior out of Prattville, Alabama. Devon Edwards running him out of bounds, 25 yards on the game.
They're going to pull the guard and the left tackle around, and Justin Thomas just goes the other way. They get the defense leaning to the left. They come back right. Big open hole in that alley. There's no defender home to make that tackle. That's how you spark. The Georgia Tech offense has been struggling so far today.
Thomas over 1,000 yards passing and rushing a year ago. Well, their first couple of games were blowouts. He hasn't played quite as much. He loses the handle. Another rough exchange, one earlier for Duke that they turned over. This one, Thomas able to pounce on.
Remember the success Patrick Scove has had with touchdowns. It's still his first year running this offense, and that connection with quarterback and running back is something they're still working on to try to get that right. You throw in the wet conditions, Beth. It's always tough. Watch here as he sticks it in his belly. Once that ball gets pulled by Thomas, you got to let go. Patrick Scove looks like he wants that ball a little bit, and he wants to get that ball downhill, but the quarterback runs the show on that exchange.
Heavy rains yesterday, and it's been raining all morning here in Durham. Here comes Cash. Hits Thomas as he throws, and he still is able to complete it downfield to Taquan Marshall. Cash nearly had his second sack of the first half. And it's a 17-yard gain.
Talked about Cash. See him on the outside, just gets underneath. Braun, the left guard, cannot get and catch up his speed. Justin Thomas just throws the ball up. Georgia Tech fortunate there to get a big play. Move the sticks on first down. But again, the pressure by Cash, you got to find him, find ways to block him.
Now trying to run up the middle. There has not been much there for the fullback so far in the first half. Paul?
Two wouldn't know how much it's raining upstairs in the nice warm confines, but down here it's been raining all day today, all day yesterday. The field drained amazingly. However, the top surface of this natural grass really slick, and I just picked up one of the balls on the other sideline from Duke. So slick, that ball. So the turnovers, not a surprise.
It is a brand new natural grass field, Brooks Field, here at Wallace Wade Stadium. Dwayne Norman is the injured player. We will take a break as he gets some assistance. Over the years, we've come to expect big things from the Georgia Tech run game. Currently second in the nation at 377 yards on the ground per game. They run it about 80% of the time. That's fifth best in FBS. And under Paul Johnson, over the last 8 years, over 30,000 yards of rushing. That is the most of any FBS school over that time. But today it's been a different story. Just 40 yards rushing so far. Thomas cut down, and a flag on the play. It was DeAndre Singleton who came down to hit him low to take him down. But the Duke defense has held Tech's option attack under wraps so far.
There is no foul on the play. Third down.
Singleton's been all over the field. All the defensive backs have, but they've been physical. The alley defenders have made big plays. Here's the problem for Georgia Tech. They're getting in obvious passing situations on these third and longs, and Duke only has to cover one or two receivers, and there's not a challenge pressed against them with this limited Georgia Tech passing game, especially when their top receiver, Michael Summers, is out of the game. Not many options for them to get the ball down the field.
A timeout here. In fact, they've only thrown it the one time, but it was a completion for 17 yards. They need 7 on the third down when we come back. And for Georgia Tech, they have struggled to move the football so far in the first half, but their third down conversions close to 60%. They've got a 3rd and 7 right here. They have not converted one yet in the first half. And the option, Thomas will keep. Tackled at the 36, and that will be short. And again, it's Jeremy Cash who's been all over the place defensively.
Really a special player. Even when you try to block him, he just has a unique speed about him. They talk about he's not the fastest linebacker, but he has some coverage, and it's about reactions. What he sees translates to how he plays. He's lined up as linebacker all the way on the other side of the field, folks. Look at the hustle and the speed, and he locks in and hones in. They're going for it here on 4th down, this Georgia Tech offense.
4th and 3. And Georgia Tech will call a timeout.
Charge timeout. Georgia Tech.
You know what I thought was one of the great things, too, when David Cutcliffe was talking about Jeremy Cash, who started out his career at Ohio State and then transferred to Duke. He said he discovered himself while he was playing on the practice squad. The love for the game, the hard work, the effort that it needed. He knew he would never get on the field. He had to sit out a year, and with the practice squad is where and when he became a better player.
When he's around the player with the ball, he rarely misses the tackles. And I don't care what you say about his speed or this and that. He is a playmaker, folks. At the next level, if I'm watching his tape, there's no tape that I can find that's bad on this young man. He's going to be a game changer, someone that you're going to look for next year having a bright future in the NFL.
They were not happy at all losing at home to Northwestern a week ago, and Jeremy told us they practiced longer and hit harder all week long to prepare for a moment like this. It's 4th and 3 for Georgia Tech. And they'll run it up the middle, and I don't think they got it. Dwayne Norman was the first guy there, the senior from Jacksonville, Florida. And the spot appears to be short.
First down.
And it will be Duke football. Just 47 yards rushing so far in the first half for Georgia Tech.
Jim Knowles talked about the defensive tackles can't just play gap defense. They have to get off their blocks and make tackles. And when you have linebackers filling in, number 40 Norman coming inside to clean it up, that's a perfectly played defensive football by this Duke defense.
Jalay Duncan with the carry. Significant return for the junior from Charlotte, North Carolina, who's been out the first 3 games with a pectoral injury and sat out a year ago with an academic suspension. He had been their leading rusher for a couple of years prior to that. We mentioned it earlier. Right now, the defensive tackles and the middle linebackers like Dwayne Norman are winning the battle up front for Duke. Here's Duncan with a burst into the secondary, and Duncan out across midfield and down inside the 40, and a flag coming out of the secondary, a 25-yard gain.
Holding, offense, number 89, 10-yard penalty, second down.
Braxton Deaver, the tight end, who had a terrific block on one of their touchdowns, and right here he's the guy holding.
Yeah, left side of your screen right here. He's in good positions trying to get his hands inside, but that looks like that left hand. To me, if your hands are inside as a tight end, that's a tough holding call. Right there, looked pretty clean to me. Blocking that, I couldn't see the top end of his hand, but it looked like he tried to readjust his hands inside. Looked like a clean block. Sometimes those really clean blocks, referees don't give them the benefit of the doubt because they block them so well.
Duncan, Deaver, the 6th-year senior out of Charlotte. Here's Cirk with the carry. And it's going to be 3rd and short now. P.J. Davis with the stop.
They talked about the tight ends too. Coach Cutcliffe said that they need to be more physical, not just on pass downs, but in the running game. They ask them to do a lot. They'll roll them inside. They'll be lead blockers as fullbacks. They'll spread them out in the offense. Multiple things. They called him LeBron James. I like that
knew
tag.
You were going there.
I like the name being called LeBron James for tight ends.
3rd down, and a little too much zing on it through the hands of John L. Barnes. And it's 4th down. Don't worry, folks, many more minutes to discuss LeBron James and tight ends, but in the meantime, Will Munday, a terrific punter, 2nd in FBS, averaging about 50 yards per punt. 9 of his 19 punts this year have landed inside the 20. He's got a chance to do it again. That's Stewart will call for the fair catch back at the 9-yard line. A long way to go for Georgia Tech after the 48-yard punt off the boot of Will Munday at a 19-3 Duke lead. Of his career, Justin Thomas, the Orange Bowl MVP in a win over Mississippi State a year ago, has Tech off to a 2-1 start to this season, but the offense has sputtered thus far. Can he crank it up? It'll throw downfield, just his 2nd pass attempt of the day, and it's his 2nd completion. This one to Ricky June and a 1st down. 30 yards on that strike, so a couple of passes for 47 yards. For Thomas.
Throws it behind his receiver, running really a go route on the outside. Good job by June to come back and catch the ball. Justin Thomas has been a below 50% passer coming in this season. They want him to improve in some of these passing situations.
48% on the year. The pitch out to the 45 for Snoddy. What's going on with BYU and Michigan? Here's Chris.
Well, Michigan's moving the ball, Beth, and Amara Darboh is going to collect this 4-yard touchdown strike from Jake Rudolph. So Michigan up early in the big house, 14-0. That game over on ABC over BYU. It has to be a little road worry at this point.
Thank you very much, Chris. As we approach the 9-minute mark in the first half, it's Marcus Allen now in at tailback, and the pitch is to Taquan Marshall. He gets across midfield and down to the 45-yard line on 11-yard pickup, and Tech is moving the football.
Again, Cash continues to pick and choose gaps. Defensive coordinator Jim Knowles said, listen, you know, sometimes he'll shoot the gap, sometimes he won't. It's really a guessing game for a coordinator's standpoint. Right there, Georgia Tech gets the advantage, getting outside on the pitch, making a big play.
1st and 10. Allen will stay in there, and the ball is out. Thomas able to jump back on it. Jeremy Cash knocked it loose.
There's some hitting going on in this game right now. The force of impact behind the line of scrimmage. Jeremy Cash, folks, he's everywhere on your television screen today. Watch him shoot the gap, times it perfectly. Fullback trying to give the ball underneath. Just a disruptor, creating havoc against this offense.
When Deion Williams had the first crack at it for Duke, but Thomas able to secure it. Pass is broken up by Breon Borders. Looking for Ricky June as Thomas was under all kinds of pressure.
The biggest thing when you have a running quarterback is containing him in the pocket. They do a nice job of bringing pressure up the middle. Getting in his face, Humphreys attacking him, and on the other side, if he's going to lob them balls up, gives the defensive backs a great opportunity to make a play on the football. Borders does a nice job of swatting it away and being in the right spot.
And Humphreys is one of their big-time recruits, the freshman linebacker bringing the heat. It's now 3rd and 12. No Patrick Scove out there on this series for Georgia Tech. Thomas will run out of room. Swarmed again by the Duke defense as they throw him back for a loss on the play. Mike Ramsey was the first guy there.
Predictable pass situations are not an advantage for Georgia Tech's offense. Duke, great in coverage, but really the players on the inside, Ray, Ramsey, Brown, all these players are getting in the right spots and really collapsing the pocket on Thomas and making it difficult for him to even get his eyes downfield to look at a receiver.
A Tech team coming in today averaging 52 points per game. Held without a touchdown so far today. They have not even ventured into the Duke red zone here in the first half.
Well, Paul Johnson talked about last week's game, getting off to a poor start and not playing well. Right now, they have not come out and showed the best of their offense and defense in this game.
Ryan Smith telling his teammates to stay away. It will trickle down inside the 10 to the 8-yard line. Blue Devils in control here in the ACC opener for these two.
Hello! Not getting enough oomph out of your energy drink? Then try an extra strength 5-hour energy shot. Its beefed up blend of vitamins, nutrients, and caffeine make it the very definition of extra strength.
Now, a couple of Shaquille Powell touchdown runs, a 1-yarder, a 3-yarder. Duke's defense has shut down Georgia Tech. It's 19-3, under 7 minutes to go here in the first half. And Duke will have it 1st and 10 from inside their own 10. Sean Wilson is in right now at tailback. The only miscue really was the turnover early that led to the Georgia Tech field goal. They have not allowed the Yellow Jackets inside the 35-yard line yet today. Sean Freeman with the tackle.
And right now, the inside defensive tackles of Georgia Tech have to be more firmer. 96, Gotsis, one of their best players. Number 92, Kalen also have to get inside, present pressure, and stop this inside run game.
They're going to bring the blitz from the edge. Cirk breaks out of one tackle, couldn't get out of the other one. And a short gain, it'll be 3rd down. It'd be nice for Tech if they could get the stop here and try and flip the field, get a little shorter distance to work with over the last 5 minutes or so of the half. But right now, Duke coming in here at 4 of 5 on 3rd down conversions today. It's 3rd and 6.
Cirk's done a nice job of surveying the offense, seeing the defense, and getting the ball in the open receiver's hands.
Looking across the middle, he's got Barnes on the crossing route for the 1st down. Ball pops out at the end of the play, and I did not hear a whistle to rule him down. He landed on the defensive back and did not hit the ground. Austin and Milton were the 2 defenders there. And has Georgia Tech just picked up its second turnover? Yes, they
Three on the
have.
field. The ball was fumbled and recovered by Georgia Tech. First down.
Second takeaway of the half.
Ronell Barnes does a nice job at catching the ball in the in route. The question is the ball coming out before the ball pops out? You can't see it there because the ball's on the other side of that view. Yeah, you know what?
That might be coming back.
Yeah, they're going to check that one out for sure.
The ruling on the field is a fumble. That play is under further review.
Again, we talked about wet conditions, and you got to secure the football all the way through the catch. See Barnes right now, he looks like he's down. The ball comes out late.
From those replays, it appears that the ball will go back to Duke, and it was a first down catch, by the way, and a 10-yard gain.
Again, he looks down. The ball is still in his hands. Now you see the ball come out. Heck, his knee, his thigh, and his rear area all touch before it looks like the ball comes out.
Nice use of rear area.
So many different ways to go about it, Beth.
The behind.
There you go. And I've been impressed by Cirk. Surveying the field right now, letting the receivers' routes develop. Again, it wasn't just a sticks catch. It was past the first down marker, so he's letting the plays kind of open up, and he's seeing the field clearly today, which is something I think they wanted to push him with. You know, next level stuff for quarterbacks. It's his first year as a starter. He's getting coached up right now, and you know they're probably congratulating him on seeing the field. But Cutcliffe wants to see that Peyton Manning-esque kind of stuff, taking charge of the offense and getting the ball down the field. He's doing a good job right now.
And certainly you would expect, and it's been one of the reasons why David Cutcliffe has had some success here at Duke, of course, dating back to his days as an offensive coordinator at Tennessee when Peyton Manning was there, and then coaching Eli Manning at Ole Miss. And they have had a couple of really good quarterbacks over the last few years, Sean Renfree and then Anthony Boone, and now they think that Cirk could be a guy. Thad Lewis, a former quarterback here, is one of his mentors. And Cutcliffe just raves about his work ethic and how coachable Thomas Cirk has been. A guy that has had to overcome some injuries. It was an Achilles injury a couple of years ago. Otherwise, he may have gotten even more playing time last year.
And they talk about maybe not stretching the ball as much, but he protects the ball. He makes good decisions, safe decisions, to keep him out of trouble.
After further review, the runner was down prior to the ball coming loose. The ball will be placed at the 24-yard line. 1st and 10. The clock will start on the ready.
A double dose of bad news for Tech. Not only do you not have the football, but you gave up the first down yardage as well. Fresh set of downs.
And I think right now all receivers, tight ends, running backs need to secure the ball with this weather today. A couple close calls, no overturns so far.
First and 10 from the 24. Cirk to David Reeves, one of his tight end, out to the 29-yard line and a 5-yard gain. Well, your Sunday mornings are looking a little bit different, looking a little bit better. NFL Insiders now teaming up with Sunday NFL Countdown. It all gets underway at 10 a.m. Eastern. Meet the new NFL Sunday Morning on ESPN, on your ESPN app as well. They have liked some of these receiver screens today, getting guys a little room to maneuver on the outside. That's Max McCaffrey.
And there was 3 defenders on the point where McCaffrey caught the ball, and they all missed the tackle, gave McCaffrey a couple extra yards, put him in a favorable 3rd and short. And when you got a quarterback like we talked about, with the trunks like this young man at 225 pounds, he's a tough boy to come down.
3rd and 1. Cirk all day to throw it. Downfield he goes, and he overthrows his receiver, Chris Taylor. And a gutsy call on 3rd and 1 when you've got the 6'4" Cirk that can carry it, or you've been able to move the ball against Georgia Tech, and now you're looking like you're going to have to punt it away.
Yeah, watch the top receiver. The defense is going to get sucked down, on the play fake. Sirk does a nice job, but the strong safety's in great position, and that's why Sirk delayed his throw. The question is number 14.
That's Corey Griffin.
Griffin get his hands on it.
Stewart with the return for Georgia Tech, out of bounds around the 26. That's a 48-yard punt, 7-yard return. Should this been a flag here?
He never gets his hand around. It looks like kind of incidental contact. You always look for the defensive back getting his hand around. Doesn't look like Smith is really holding his hands on his body. I think it's a good call by the referee.
So on 1st and 10, Georgia Tech 4.5 minutes to work with. They've mustered just 5 first downs so far in the ball game. The nice gain there on 1st down will set him up 2nd and short. Marcus Allen with the carry, the junior out of Hilliard, Florida. Been rotating a lot of different guys in and out. We have not seen a whole lot, however, of Patrick Scove in the running game of late. 6 rushes, 18 yards, much of that coming early in the game. Coming into this matchup, 7 touchdowns scored. That was 2nd best in the country. And now Thomas to throw. And he's got his man into Duke territory and down to the 31 to Clinton Lynch. 1st down, but first an update.
All right, Beth, somewhat of a shocking development over on ESPNU and Williams-Brice Stadium. Here's Bo Schneider. Going to find Traquan Smith wide open behind the defense, in South Carolina trailing the Knights 14-5.
Central Florida in hostile territory, trying to make some national noise. Thomas run out of bounds by Dwayne Norman. Here's Paul.
Beth, Patrick Scove, number 7 in white, back in the ball game as the B-back. But Marcus Marshall, their leading rusher, I saw trainers working on his right shoulder. And something to look at, Anthony, Justin Thomas, the right-handed quarterback. He just had that black tape right under his elbow added. I don't know if it was something that was bothering him, but trainers were working on it.
Keep an eye. It's obviously interesting, being the fact that they've been passing a little more in this game, being that they're down early.
Here is Scove right up the middle, and the dive works down inside the 25-yard line. Tanashi Bear with the tackle. Scove, the graduate student transfer from Stanford. His brother Shane now in the NFL. They were teammates out on the farm, and a second life for him here at Georgia Tech. This is their deepest drive of the day into Duke territory. It's 3rd and 2.
Yeah, 3rd and short's where Thomas is most dangerous. You have to contain him. Duke so far doing a nice job.
Slips free of a tackle in the backfield, wrapped up by Cash. Short of the 1st down. Quavon Ferguson should have had him for a loss there.
Defensive line doing an excellent job of not only getting their hands on the offensive lineman, but shedding blocks. You know, it's one thing to be in a position to make a tackle and getting off late. These guys are penetrating up the hole, and again, they come up short, and Paul Johnson again, 4th and short. You'd think the advantage is with Georgia Tech, but with that penetration, right now it's been tough.
0 for 2 on 4th down today. Had some problems, and Thomas able to dive forward to get down to the 20-yard line and a 1st down. Under 2 minutes to go in the half. Georgia Tech now at 78 yards rushing, being outrushed by Duke to this point.
If I was going to pick an offensive lineman to run behind, it'd probably be number 71, the right guard, Devine, 370 pounds, pretty big guy.
6th heaviest, in fact, in FBS. Snoddy is the motion man. He'll take the pitch to the short side. Down inside the 15-yard line. Bear again able to run him out. And into the red zone now for Georgia Tech. They are 14 of 16 in the red zone. Duke, however, has not allowed a red zone score through its first 3.5 games.
And when you get 6, 7 yards on first down, this is where Georgia Tech becomes dangerous, and their multitude of offensive options become a factor.
The rain continues to pelt down here in Durham. The pitch to Willis. They'll run the same play to the same side. Close to the marker. May have come up a foot short. Alonzo Saxton with the tackle.
Kyler Brown, another defensive end with a linebacker body. You see the speed and the quickness right now. This Duke defensive line being in the position, making it hard.
Third and 1, Thomas. Going off the right side between Burden and Devine. And it appears he has enough. And the officials will make sure, I think, here.
For a measurement.
And go for the measurement. Thomas now on the day, 15 carries, 34 yards. Let's check in quickly with the studio. It is a first down. Chris?
All right, Beth, Dave and Buster's halftime report coming up. Robert Smith, Butch Davis going to join me. We'll talk about Michigan off to a great start in the Big House. We'll give you highlights of that one. Also highlights of Leonard Fournette. He's running wild today inside the Carrier Dome. Plus, we'll preview Arizona, UCLA, and pick this one, the big one tonight in the desert. Back out to you guys.
Thank you, Chris. Going to be a big day for the Pac-12. Fournette certainly the Heisman frontrunner. The throw to the end zone incomplete, overthrowing Lynch. Second and goal.
Try to get that A back up in the alley, get that defense sucked down.
Injured offensive lineman is Trey Braun, the left guard, fifth-year senior out of Tallahassee.
Three-year starter, and you always wonder with rotating the depth chart and offensive linemen, you know, getting those reps, right, Beth? Because if you don't get the reps out of a lineman, it's going to be tough to run this offense. His knee gets clipped. Luckily, he was wearing a knee brace that looked like it took a lot of that blow off, but it's good to see the young man get up.
This is a group, of course, up front with this option attack. They led the nation in rushing a year ago. They don't give up a whole lot of sacks, really not the opportunity there, and it's a group that's got to be mobile.
Clock comes in now at the left guard position, and again, we've seen the penetration in the middle, so there's going to be a lot of pressure on him to block the defenders. Duke doing a nice job up front in the middle.
Redshirt freshman now at left guard. It's Scove up the middle, short gain and a penalty flag, and it was A.J. Wolf that blew right by the new guy.
Welcome to the game, Mr. Clock.
Holding, offense number 65. That penalty's declined. Third down.
Redshirt freshman out of Hummelstown, PA. Got beat here.
Yeah, Clock's here, and Wolf's going to penetrate inside. Welcome to the game. Not only does he miss his block, he slow up the snap count, and he holds to compound the situation.
Third and goal, back out near the 10-yard line. Thomas rolling, firing to the end zone, and it's caught for a touchdown. Ricky June. Ten-yard strike for Justin Thomas to June. It's his 6th touchdown pass of the season. And it caps off a 12-play scoring drive, and their first venture into the red zone is a success.
Interesting decision by Coach Cutcliffe to decline that penalty. Anytime you have a poor passer, I always say push him back and make it tougher for him.
The boot is through from Harrison Butker. So they had an opportunity to push them further away, and instead it's a 10-yard touchdown pass.
Yeah, he's looked through his reads here. The pocket breaks down, and he just throws it into traffic, to be quite honest with you. And Ricky June does a nice job of looking the ball in and give this young man some high fives for being a creator. That's the one thing he brings to the table that you can't coach. Extending plays, making big plays, doing a nice job.
The flag may be a little too rain-drenched and soaked to get up off the ground. A good effort there to fly the flag on a rainy, windy day.
He's got to get on that Paul Carcaterra wrist program, get those forearms strong. Look at him.
Well, they finally break through with the touchdown, 10 yards from Thomas to June.
Going into halftime, you're looking for something to hang your hat on, Beth. Right there, driving down the field, you get some positive plays, you score a touchdown, and you make this game manageable now coming out in the second half.
We'll go with another short kick. And Duke will have it at the 35-yard line with 27 seconds to go. They've got 2 timeouts remaining. And if you're out and about on this college football Saturday, you don't have to miss any of the action. You've got your Watch ESPN app. Download it today or go to watchespn.com. And don't miss any of the action. A lot coming your way in the 3:30 window, including number 1 Ohio State and number 24 Oklahoma State. Virginia Tech will be at ECU. The Pirates won that matchup last year. Surf looking to dump it off to Wilson out of the backfield. Gets out across the 40 and a 6-yard gain.
Coach trying to screaming, trying to get a timeout here, trying to maximize these last 20 seconds of the game. 2-a-days workouts on Friday, so he jumped right out there trying to get themselves set up for at least an opportunity to potentially get themselves in field goal range.
And you could read his lips. He was fighting. He said, you owe me 3 seconds off the clock right there. From when he was calling the timeout to when it was given. And it does not appear he's going to win that battle. So now you've got the 1 timeout left. Cirk on the day is 11 for 14, 100 yards to 7 different guys so far.
You know, I think he's trying to work the middle of the field here. Obviously, the clock's temporarily going to stop. If he can get something deep, get up to the ball, you can ground the ball, keep your timeout, set yourself up for another play.
Barnes and McCaffrey go to the top of your screen. Cirk stepping up, throwing for the sideline, incomplete with 15 seconds to play.
Again, McCaffrey worked a little bit of a 10, 12-yard in route, became wide open. Cirk took his eyes off and went to the sideline. Missed opportunity there. You stop the clock, but now it's 3rd and 4. Again, middle of the field's where you want to work against a defense that's been porous right now for Georgia Tech.
Pass across midfield, initially hauled in and then jarred loose. Off the chest of John L. Barnes, it was Chris Milton breaking it up, 10 seconds to go. And now it's 4th down, and you're going to send your punter out there, Will Monday. He has mishandled 2 PAT attempts as the holder already today.
Again, Barnes trying to hold on to it, should have caught the football. Again, wet, damp conditions. You want to get the snap, make this catch, and clean it.
He's been a terrific punter this year, and will get that away. Georgia Tech won't even send anybody deep as it bounces into the end zone with a few seconds left in the first half. And now it's time for the latest dish, brought to you by Dish. Who has the best chances to win the ACC Coastal? It's the defending champs, Georgia Tech, at 47%. And the ESPN Football Power Index doesn't really give anybody else much of a shot.
Well, with Virginia Tech losing their quarterback against Ohio State, that'll be tough for them. North Carolina, who we did last week, they're an offense now that I think is going to surprise some teams. They got a lot of weapons. They'll challenge Georgia Tech in the Coastal Division.
Miami and Brad Kaya may be a threat. Of course, Georgia Tech will be hosting North Carolina next week. A pivotal matchup. And they'll take a knee. We will hear from Paul Carcaterra with Coach David Cutcliffe coming up in the Dave and Buster's halftime report. But first to the studio, Chris Cotter, Butch Davis, and Robert Smith. You're watching college football presented by 5 Hour Energy. And you're watching the ACC on ESPN. It's the ACC opener for Duke at Georgia Tech, and on a sloppy track here today, rainy weather. Duke has been able to outrush Georgia Tech to this point. Shaquille Powell with a couple of scores. It's 19-10. Georgia Tech scored on its last drive. They'll have the football to start out the second half. Beth Mowins along with Anthony Becht. Anthony, Jeremy Cash, we said he's going to be everywhere making plays for Duke, and he did not disappoint in that first half.
If there's one player that's been on the money today, Jeremy Cash is that guy. Shooting gaps, trying to cut block him, can't bring him down, and pursuing the football. Everything you see about him just shows out on tape. You can have an instant highlight show in, out, and watch the range here. I said Cam Chancellor early in this game. Watch this play as he cuts across the field.
Went a long way to make that play. Justin Thomas, hey, when your run game is not working, how about the air for Thomas?
Well, he's been on the same page right now as his receivers, and Coach Knowles, defensive coordinator Duke, talked about this. Don't fall asleep in the passing game right now. Duke's there, but Justin Thomas has done a nice job of getting the balls in his hands of receivers, making plays downfield, and keeping this game close.
4 of 6, 92 yards, and the touchdown pass on their last possession to Ricky June, a 10-yard strike. And he is ready to get back out there. They only ran for 87 yards in that first half. They're number 2 in the nation coming in. And down to Paul Carcaterra.
Well, Beth, I just spoke to Paul Johnson before the start of this half, and he told me definitely confidence with Justin Thomas through the air, but not pleased with his run game. 88 yards in the first half. He said they're blowing assignments, not blocking well. The biggest challenge on the other side for his defense is dealing with Duke's run game. He said they've been great at blocking and really controlling the line of scrimmage, and they need to address stopping the quick slants, Anthony.
Thank you, Paul. It's Scove back in there at fullback, and he is dropped right at the line of scrimmage. On the first run of the play of the second half, Bear with the tackle. And here's a look at the Tech drive chart. Not pretty from their perspective.
Yeah, that's not something common when you talk about Georgia Tech offense, and I think the best thing coming out of the half is number 78, their left guard, Braun, is back in the game, so hopefully they can manage that penetration that the Duke defensive line has been bringing in the middle.
They'll try Scove again. He'll pick up a couple, runs right into Tanashi Bear. 17 games in a row for Georgia Tech with over 200 yards rushing. They were shy of the 100-yard mark in that first half.
How about Tanashi Bear getting his first career start at the Mike linebacker position? 230 pounds. They brought him in today to play because he's a bulky linebacker that can go against the run. Right now, he's been facing up Patrick Scove on that dive play.
They wanted a heavier, thicker guy against the fullback. A couple of stops in a row, and it's 3rd and 6. Thomas incomplete. Clinton Lynch was not expecting the throw, and it's 4th down.
There's those quick slants. Paul was talking about Georgia Tech trying to run. Got to get those catches. Duke in the right position again. Cash. He's in the face of the quarterback. Offensively, they got to find him, and Coach Paul Johnson is telling his offensive line they need to come off and block these guys. The biggest thing you see is the physicality of Duke's defense across the board in this football game.
Ryan Rodwell to punt. Ryan Smith has a 69-yard return to set up a touchdown. And he's going to stay away from this one. Duke will have decent field position now across its own 40-yard line. Just a 31-yard kick from Rodwell. And back to work for Thomas Sirk as Paul Johnson continues to get after that offensive line. But for Sirk in the first half, 11 of 16, 100 yards and a touchdown pass. In his first year as a starter, he leads the ACC in total offense through the first 3 games of the season. A handoff to Powell out to the 45.
I think what I've liked out of Cirque today is he's let the plays in the passing game kind of play out, read the field nice, hit a nice deep ball earlier in the game down the sidelines. He's been accurate, so he's been reading the defense, and when Georgia Tech has been giving him, he's been productive.
50 yards rushing now for Powell. Cirque will keep on 2nd and 5. Bottled up, it's going to be 3rd down. P.J. Davis with the tackle.
One thing defensive coordinator for Georgia Tech, Ted Roof, who was a former head coach here at Duke, hasn't been able to do is he likes to bring pressures, especially in the A-gap over the center, and disrupt the quarterback. 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6 here might be an opportunity. They can try to get in the face of Thomas Cirque.
Duke's been good on 3rd downs because they've been short yardage. This one is a little longer. They've got to get out across midfield to the Georgia Tech 49. Five men coming. Cirque will drop it off, and that will not be good enough. Powell with the catch, but he's wrapped up immediately by Davis. And Tech will force the punt, and Davis may have hurt himself on the play.
And McCordis came off the edge there, just made Thomas Cirque speed up the process. I think we talked about Ted Roof just getting him uncomfortable right there, a great example, and got him to dump down and make those short passes, which he's been doing early in the season.
Monday to kick. Jamal Golden back deep inside his own 10. He will let this go, and it bounces just inside the pylon. Monday missed it by that much. A 55-yard boot. Georgia Tech has it when we return.
36 hours ago, you were Jeff and Sue.
You've just spoken to your team in the locker room. You were expecting them, Anthony, to execute well that first possession.
Penetration up front by this Duke defensive line is really bothering Paul Johnson, and he wants to get in the offensive lineman face. And Cutcliffe saying, listen, get the ball down the field. We have it protected. We have an opportunity to make a big 3rd down conversion. We got to take that chance instead of dumping the ball off. 2 coaches and 2 key teaching moments there.
Both offenses bounced off the field quickly in their first possessions of this 3rd quarter. And Tanashi Bear, you may even have heard the public address announcer just a second ago, again on the stop. We knew the new middle linebacker would be busy, and impressive to even the Duke fans.
Well, I think he wants to stay on the field not only this game, but games to come. He's showing it. He's been a factor in this ball game. And Coach Cutcliffe talked about the physicality. He needs to see it. Defense is setting the tone for sure today.
Scove with the carry, and down to Paul.
There's no question Jeremy Cash is the leader of this Duke defense. Moments ago, he was racing up and down the sideline screaming, more steam, more steam.
I love this kid. I mean, you talk about a guy that personifies football. He's an exciting player to watch on the field, on tape. I've been impressed, and he's lived up to everything that he's shown me so far in this game.
Scove tries to run up the middle. Cash and his mates anxious to win the second half. Coach Cutcliffe told us we lost not only the game to Northwestern, we lost the second half. We were not good enough and strong enough to finish. And Cash, one of the leaders, reminding his guy that today is a new day.
Follow Cash. Follow the money, right, Beth? That's what they say.
Money.
Always follow the money. Cash is a guy that can take you to the promised land.
Standing up
Creeping
as the
up
linebacker.
in the gap. Yes, he is. Falls out again, just in multiple places.
Thomas tosses it downfield, a wobbler, and it's almost caught by Lynch off the carom. Breon Borders got a hand on it.
You know, you look at Jeremy Cash, too, field level. He is so intense, Anthony, and I talked to him earlier in the week. And he told me he was at a little boys football clinic this summer, and one of the kids asked him, what's it feel like to get hit? He said, I don't know. I am always the hammer. I am never the nail, and I'm looking to inflict pain.
I'm telling you, I don't know where he is on draft boards, Beth, but I'll say this.
Moving up.
If I'm watching him and I'm watching his tape, this is exactly the kind of player I want my team. Think of Cam Chancellor, folks, Seattle Seahawks. He fit perfectly in the Patriots defense. The guy's tremendous. He's all over the field today.
Certainly looks like a throwing down for Tech. 3rd and 9. Thomas on the run, and he's tripped up and taken down. Dwayne Norman with the sack. second of the day for Duke.
This might be the fastest Duke defense I've seen since David Cutcliffe has come to be the head coach here. Watch Cash playing with them, shooting the gaps. But the speed by Norman. Justin Thomas is a fast quarterback, someone that's hard to bring down. And he wants a little bit of that Cash money. He's starting to spread it around. Nice play by that young man on that play.
Well, and like Cash, he is a converted safety into a linebacker and can actually go back and forth with both. Kick is away, headed for Smith. Hammered immediately around the 30-yard line. Good coverage by Step Durham. 19-10, Duke.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Mazda. Driving matters. And a Subway footlong. There's nothing bigger, nothing better. Subway, eat fresh.
A time lapse of some of the renovations here at Duke, including a brand new Brooks Field, a new grass turf here, and some changes around this complex as well. Jalea Duncan with the carry. For the Blue Devils, they fumbled the first time they had the ball, then they scored 3 straight times, and now 4 consecutive punts for the Duke offense. We're up at one point, 19-3. And Georgia Tech able to linger here. P.J. Davis has been active, the outside linebacker.
Yeah, more bodies in the middle of the field, taking away that inside run. Again, another 3rd and 5 and 6 area. Thomas Sirk, you saw David Cutcliffe telling his quarterback, read it, connect with it. If the protection is there, you got to make a play. Let's see if he keeps his eyes downfield on this play.
3rd and mid. That's within 7 yards. They're 2 for 4 today. Sirk intercepted. Georgia Tech gets takeaway. Its second of the day. A.J. Gray, the freshman, right there waiting for Sirk. Second pick of the season of Thomas. And now Georgia Tech set up at the Duke 32-yard line.
Well, the one thing he did earlier well was read his eyes away from the defense, and there he just telegraphs that pass. And he's got that long wind up and throw. It takes some time to get to the tight end. And with that close coverage and on that hitch route, the defender does a nice job, Gray, of jumping that. True freshman with the interception. Huge opportunity for Tech.
Duke was lucky he slipped. Otherwise, he might still be running. Back to their ground game. Marcus Marshall, the freshman out of Raleigh, North Carolina, just up the road in Millbrook High School, where he followed in the footsteps of his older brother Keith, who's now at the University of Georgia. His debut in his very first game against Alcorn, 8 carries, 184 yards. The most in a game since Jonathan Dwyer 7 years ago. The pitch to Lynch. Runs out of room. Cash, one of the guys there, along with Norman and Kyler Brown.
Just hustles every single play. Even though he wasn't the first defender there, Cash just continues to show his energy throughout the game. Just love watching this player right now. 3rd and long, we talked about it. These aren't the areas where Georgia Tech have really locked in on the passing game. Justin Thomas has been accurate. Right now, 3rd down, 2 for 10 for this Georgia Tech offense.
Thomas, that one was nearly picked off. Kyler Brown able to knock it down, and it's 4th down.
Again, Kyler Brown showing you his versatility. He's a defensive end in this defense, but he is a former linebacker.
After a couple of misses last week against Notre Dame, a couple through the uprights for Butker, and it's 19-13 as Georgia Tech gets closer.
Chiefs, Packers.
On a wet and rainy day here at Wallace Wade Stadium in Durham, North Carolina. A couple of missed PATs for the Blue Devils. Could that come back into play? As Georgia Tech is able to get the long field goal, it's now 19-13. Devon Edwards with the return here for Duke. Edwards streaking across midfield, and the extra burst will send him the distance. Touchdown Duke, 100 yards on the return. Duke has been hammering away, Anthony, on the Georgia Tech special teams all day.
I'll tell you what, I am impressed by what this young man has done in his career as a kickoff returner, padding his 5th kickoff return for a touchdown as the leader in Duke in the history.
Extra point is good. He had a 95-yarder for a touchdown against Tulane earlier this season, and now 100 yards for Edwards. The last guy to do it here was Trent Richardson with the visiting Alabama Crimson Tide 6 years ago.
Let your blockers get out there on their guys and then beat them with speed. And at the end of the day, Edwards shows that he has that speed. No one's able to catch him, not even close, when untouched, really all the way through. Tremendous job, and no one touches him back all the way down 100 yards. And forget about it. Look at the burners there, and he's showing now. This kid's a factor in special teams, and he's a tremendous safety for this football team also.
And what a difference a week makes. They gave up the kick return touchdown in their loss to Northwestern here a week ago. Remember earlier in the day, they almost had the punt returned for a TD. 69 yards from Ryan Smith, who was taken down at the 1-yard line. Georgia Tech with a couple of issues on its punt snaps. And the response immediately, it's happened twice today following Georgia Tech field goals. The Duke has come back with a touchdown. And can Jamal Golden come up with something special? Wrapped up around the 30 with his forward progress there. And from the ACC, we'll take you through this Saturday afternoon and then into the evening out on the West Coast with UCLA and the Rosen one taking on a new Solomon in Arizona. Some terrific quarterbacks in that one, as well as the top 2 rushers right now in the Pac-10, and Paul Perkins and Nick Wilson.
Yeah,
Pac-12, excuse me.
Wilson, downhill runner 80% of the time. He's downhill. Perkins likes to get outside. Tremendous speed. The returning Pac-12 rusher.
That matchup tonight at 8 o'clock on ABC, also streaming live on Watch ESPN. Pounding it on the ground, Marcus Allen. That will finally put Georgia Tech over 100 yards rushing, still being outrushed by Duke, and Marcus Allen is trying to hop on 1 foot over to the sideline. And now the athletic trainers spot him and are coming out to assist.
Plays that B back with Scove. He's able to get nice yards there. Finally got some good push off the offensive line. Gets through there at that first level.
That's DeAndre Singleton.
And they've been bringing the heat here, the thump on this defense for Duke, and gets his ankle caught up on that lower body tackle.
Marcus Marshall will replace him. The Georgia Tech play selection, 4-1. They're usually 80% running the football. They fell behind early, though, today and have had to throw a little bit more. And quite honestly, the Duke defense has been pretty stout on the ground.
Yeah, 2 nice run plays right there. You see their leading rusher, Marcus Marshall. You see his quickness as he gets through the line, ability to make people miss. And Georgia Tech has to answer. Duke coming back with that big kickoff return for a touchdown. Georgia Tech has to continue with their momentum on the offensive side.
1st and 10. The give is to Marshall up the middle. They are the heavy favorites, according to the ESPN Football Power Index, to win the Coastal Division. They won it last year. Lost to Florida State in the ACC Championship game and then went on to beat Mississippi State in the Orange Bowl. 2 years ago, it was the Duke Blue Devils that won the Coastal and then lost in the ACC Championship game to Florida State.
I think the biggest thing with this team is the youth at their backs position. Scove is a veteran, but this is his first year, and a lot of freshmen, younger players at those A-backs.
They'll try the reverse, and it's broken up in the backfield. Dwayne Norman, who was pursuing the quarterback, saw Stewart coming at him the other way and reached out with one arm and took him down. What a breakout performance by Norman, and a loss of 10.
Great penetration to get up, reading the reverse. Duke trying to chase down the quarterback. Norman has the speed to adjust himself. Huge loss. Tough situation now. 3rd and 18 for this Georgia Tech offense.
Thomas fires for the first down into Duke territory at the 45-yard line to Ricky June. 19 yards.
Well, to me, if you're a cornerback for Duke and they got to go 18 yards, get up and cover the wide receiver. They're not going to threaten you with the deep ball. Saxton's got to get up. He's the youngest of the DBs of this crew, and challenge the wide receivers and know where the sticks are and be able to jump the ball when that ball comes out of the quarterback's hands.
Some misdirection in the backfield. It goes to Marshall. And he's corralled quickly by who else? Jeremy Cash, 5th-year senior out of Miami, the leading tackler for the Blue Devils. An all-ACC performer.
And again, you know, you talked about that 3rd down conversion, and Singleton has to understand that if he's got that off coverage is fine. They got to go 18 yards. But when the sticks come into play and you see that depth, that running receiver get to their depth, you got to make that break earlier and contest that football. Way too easy for that conversion with Georgia Tech.
Thomas, the pitch, blown up again. That was, let's see, number 48, Dion. A 3-yard loss.
I'll tell you what, physicality. I mean, Cash right now, he didn't make the tackle. He blows up the dive player on this. Watch Cash come through here untouched and just crush the B-back. And look at this, the alley defenders. 2 guys there making plays. Just been phenomenal. Williams, Singleton, these guys are on the same page, not letting Georgia Tech breathe at all.
3rd and long. Thomas on the rollout. Brown giving chase. Here comes Cash. Delivers a hit, and it's intercepted. Breon Borders picked it off, and it's Duke football as Cash got into Thomas on the throw.
You're hearing this name every snap. It's not just every day, it's every snap. Cash disturbs Thomas. Borders does a nice job of just hanging around. I mean, you're limited. It's Cash just eyeballing the quarterback. Watch the burst. They just go up there and hit him. He gets a ton of hits on the offensive players with a helmet. He's looking over at that sideline. Said, you better find a way to block me. He's done a tremendous job today.
First turnover of the day for Tech. What can Cirque do with it? The throw to Braxton Deaver with the catch. Cirque needs to show a little composure here. He had the interception earlier in the quarter. He was involved with a fumble on an exchange earlier in the game. Tech trying to rile them up again. Good penetration coming right up front. Kashun Freeman, the youngster they're so high on with the tackle. Well, another big ball game tonight out west. It's USC and Arizona State. And stick around after that for Sports Center at night. Catch all the latest highlights and what's happening around the college football world. Also baseball, some teams starting to clinch spots in the postseason. It's coming up tonight after football. On 3rd and 7, heat coming. The pass is away, and it's a first down to Max McCaffrey.
When 3rd and long comes up, Ted Roof likes to bring A-gap pressure. You see the linebackers up tight. Sirk stands in the pocket and delivers a catchable ball. Watch McCaffrey here. He's going to run the out route right at the sticks. Gets Austin in a bind there. Not able to cover him. Gets the conversion on the first down.
4 receivers again for Sirk. He's going to take it right up the middle. A nice block by Powell to lead the way. Adam Gotsis with the tackle, and he's close to another first down.
Multiple ways they can beat you in the running game. Quarterback, running back, the short pass game. I think just like anything, you have to be able to match defensive linemen. And right now, these guys don't get enough credit. At center, Skura, left guard, Patrick. These guys have been able to get the inside defense pushed back.
Final minute of the 3rd quarter. Looking to cash in on the interception from Borders. Circle keep. And Sirk will not get far. Jabari Hunt, the nose tackle, the 5th-year senior with the stop. Let's see if Duke may, they're going to try and get off one more play here in the 3rd.
We'll let this wind down. Get to the 4th quarter. And this is what Coach Cutcliffe was saying. They got to be physical. They got to be tougher in the 4th quarter. They got to finish games. Right now, Georgia Tech is not letting them off the hook yet in this football game.
We got a good one heading to the 4th quarter for the early, very early lead in the Coastal Division in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Georgia Tech stymied by the Duke defense. They've come up with some big plays of their own, and the difference right now, the 100-yard kick return touchdown for Devon Edwards. You're watching college football presented by 5 Hour Energy. 20-13 Duke over Georgia Tech, and you're watching the ACC on ESPN as we head to the 4th quarter. The loser of this game has won the Coastal Division the last 2 seasons. Duke beating Georgia Tech last year, and then the Yellow Jackets rebounded and won the division.
Replay is currently down.
It was the
system is
first
currently down.
win in the series in 10 years for Duke, and you just heard our referee Jeff Heiser tell us that the official replay is down temporarily, we hope.
I'm sure an opportunity to go to replay will come up soon then.
Undoubtedly. Duke 3rd and 3. It was an interception that got them the ball here. They're trying to keep the drive alive. 4-man front for Georgia Tech. That's how many they'll rush. Sirk airmails that one over the head of Powell and out of play.
A little indecisive on that. He's trying to wait for those routes to come open. McCaffrey's doing the 10-yard in route. And strong safety does a nice job of jumping in front of it. He's got to pull it out, throw it out of bounds. Ball really slips out of his hands because of this weather.
Georgia Tech looking to get it back. On an uncharacteristic day for the Yellow Jackets when they have run for just 103 yards through the first 3 quarters. That may have to change if they want to rebound.
Hi.
Who's in for the playoff? Of course, the semis will be on New Year's Eve this year. That's something new. Right now, your college football rankings brought to you by Allstate. Buckeyes and Spartans in the top 2 spots. And currently TCU and Ole Miss would be the other 2 playoff teams projected. On first down, Thomas heaves that one out of bounds. The first playoff rankings officially, by the way, they don't come out till November 3rd, but that doesn't stop us from talking about it a lot and projecting who we think might be there.
Yeah, well, look at Central Michigan hanging around there against Michigan State going into the fourth quarter of that game. And how about the Cuse? You know anything about the Cuse, Beth?
Wow.
That's your squad. I know somebody else that went to the Cuse, too. He's not too wet to talk about.
Paul Carcaterra, I think, wishes we were inside the Carrier Dome on a day like today. It looks actually like the rain may have ceased for the first time in 48 hours. The weather has had an impact on several occasions, and on this pitch, the ball is on the ground, and they're ruling it a forward pass incomplete. And that guy, number 16, was involved again. You go ahead and thump your chest a couple times.
Yeah, guess who, folks? Cash. I'll say this. Cash is putting the ACC and the country on notice. All right, this is a team that he's completely dominated. He's brought the thunder every single play. We can't stop showing highlights of this young man. And they're calling it a forward pass. They're very fortunate there. That could have been easily a turnover going the other way for Duke.
We'll give him credit right there. The official was right there on the spot and saw that as a forward pass. 3rd and 10. Where is Cash?
Yeah, he's right here, about to shoot this gap right here.
Thomas, all kinds of heat coming, running for his life, and he just does apparently get it across the line of scrimmage out of bounds, so it's not grounding.
That was close.
Norman is another guy. You know, we've talked about it a couple of times. You're a 4-2-5 defense. You go to a 4-3 today, and those linebackers are doing a nice job.
Yeah. Team speed for Duke is huge. And again, does he get the ball past the line of scrimmage on that pass? It was close.
Yeah, because if he doesn't, that's 2 points.
Yeah,
throwing it out of the end zone. Rodwell to boot it away. Special teams has been dynamite so far for the Duke Blue Devils, and not this time. An 8-yard return for Smith, tackled by Brent Mitchell, but they've got a short field to work with, the football and the lead for the Blue Devils.
Hello?
ESPN College Football is presented by 5-Hour Energy.
The Duke Blue Devils trying to be #1 in the Coastal Division early in this ACC season. This is the opener for the last 2 teams that have won the division. 26-13, Blue Devils with the ball in the lead. Cirque with the carry. Kashun Freeman with the tackle. Is their leading passer and rusher on the season. Top 10 in the ACC in those 2 categories. He's cooled off through the air. He's only hit 4 of his last 9 passes, and that includes an interception. Looking to throw here, the bubble to Barnes. Tyler McCordez with the stop.
Really, the offense for Duke has cooled down, period. Georgia Tech's done a nice job on defense and making some adjustments, forcing issues on 3rd down. And again, they get Thomas Cirque in a situation where, again, Coach Cutcliffe wants to see him let this play out. Let's see if Ted Roof brings some pressure here. You see McCordis creeping up line of scrimmage.
Just 1 for 4 here in the second half. Cirque stepping up, wrapped up, and down he goes. P.J. Davis sat him around the ankles and brought him down. And it's going to be 4th down for Duke.
Nice job there. You see Davis shoot the gap. They try to cut him. Nice tackle. He's the team's leading tackler. Defensive coordinator Roof talked about him trusting his eyes and going, shooting those gaps and making plays. Right there, a perfect example of forcing another punt.
First sack for Georgia Tech, just the 2nd of the season for the Duke O-line. Georgia Tech football, but first, Chris Cotter with an update.
Beth, Leonard Fournette is living up to the hype. Syracuse keeping it close in the Carrier Dome, but look at Fournette burst through the line, and he's gone. You're not going to catch him from behind. 62 yards. He has 213 yards on the ground. Still a game, though. LSU up by 14 over on ESPN.
Well, Chris, we're going to let Anthony show off his math skills here, because out of the blue, 213 divided by 19, you knew the rushing average for Fournette per carry.
I said 11.3. It was 11.2.
I'm going to give that to you.
That West Virginia math program's pretty strong, Beth.
Got a bounce to the outside as Justin Thomas shoved out by Devon Edwards. Beth Mullins, along with former All-America tight end at West Virginia, Anthony Beck. Paul Carcaterra is with us as well. Largest deficit that Georgia Tech has overcome under Paul Johnson in 8 seasons, 16 points. That was back in 2008. They beat Georgia on November 29th. They have been down by 16 here today, trailed early 19-3. And Patrick Scove, who's been quiet thus far, with a nice burst.
Scove has become a dangerous back, like you said, leading the ACC in scoring when they get into that red zone, that 10- yard lines in close to the end zone. Question is getting his ability to break long runs off the dive, and right now he gingerly holding that shoulder there, right, taking a shot. This Duke defense has been laying the wood today against these Georgia Tech players.
Grad student, he graduated from Stanford and wanted the opportunity to play his one more season. He came to Georgia Tech. Thomas, short gain. Dwayne Norman with the tackle, reaching in to check that right shoulder. Let's go back to that last play.
Yeah, you get that contact directly on the shoulder, and looks like he hits the ground. That's that AC joint area there, Beth. Had many of those. Get that impact and that swelling. There's a slight separation. It's not a separated shoulder, but you get that soreness in there, and it looks like he fell. He's a big boy landing on that ground.
Now option it the other way. Thomas with the decision to keep and cut back. Out to the 40. Paul?
Patrick Scove, trainers aren't even looking at him. And Dr. Beck, it is the right shoulder, though. I see him holding that right shoulder and kind of moving it gingerly, but expect 7 in White to be back. He's the 5th-year transfer from Stanford. I had a chance to talk to him this week. His goal was to show his versatility after being primarily a fullback at Stanford. He wanted to show that he could be an all-around back.
He will stay on the sideline here, 3rd and 4. Marcus Marshall is in there. It's the pitch, Isaiah Willis. And he's got the first down.
It's been close. I mean, not a lot of breathing room for this Georgia Tech offense. I mean, if they need 4 yards to get the first down, they're just getting 5. Duke defenders are in the alleys, they're in the spots, they're not letting up any seams that we normally see a Georgia Tech rushing offense take advantage of. Tribute goes out right now to Coach Knowles, what he's been able to do so far in this game against this offense.
Scove is back in there. He provides the block for his quarterback to throw it deep down the middle to Ricky June, who hauls it in around the 25.
Nice pass down the field by Thomas. Honestly, he probably should have went to the wheel route. Miscommunication here on the defense. Look at the wheel come open. He goes for the tougher throw. June makes a nice catch, diving, extending to pull that ball in. Huge change of field there on that play.
33 yards on that play. They go back to Scove right up the middle. That number 7 on his jersey matches his ACC leading 7 touchdowns this year. 5 on the ground, 2 receiving. Born in San Francisco, spent part of his childhood down in Mexico, then went to high school in New Jersey, and then found his way along with his brother to Stanford. Shane now into the NFL. Patrick, a final season at Georgia Tech. He is going for his MBA in Atlanta.
His entire career at Stanford, 14 carries, 25 yards, 4 touchdowns. His first game here at Tech, 12 carries, 72 yards. He eclipsed it in 1 game.
And there's a nice burst for Scove, who is picked up and thrown down by Breon Borders. But Scove continues to move it forward. 12 yards on that scoot back into the red zone. They scored the first red zone touchdown on this Duke defense all season. They did it earlier in this half. First and 10, more Scove on the dive. Jeremy Cash brought him down.
Right now, Georgia Tech's doing a nice job of getting the flow and really changing the field position. Big pass play there that they got to get them down into the red zone area here. And they're speeding it up a little bit on offense. This will get to be a tiring situation for the defense to keep trying to wear them down with the run.
Skov leaves the game. Looks like he's still hurting, and a flag prior to the snap. Some movement on the left side. I think it's Brian Chamberlain.
Number 53, 5-yard penalty, second down.
And it is.
Paul Johnson was getting on Mr. Chamberlain earlier, and again, you got to keep your composure as you get close. That's their first penalty of the game, and they're the least penalized team in the FBS.
Yeah, 6 penalties through their first 3 games.
See that discipline that they have on offense.
Marshall out, Skov back in there. Play action. Out of the back of the end zone, incomplete. Looking for Ricky June. And Clinton Lynch were the 2 guys back there. June, by the way, today, 4 catches, 91 yards. He has the 10-yard touchdown reception from Thomas.
Very rarely in their pass offense do you see them attack the middle of the field. Everything's one side to the other, and now you head in the 3rd down, which Georgia Tech has done well in past years. Only 4 of 15 in this game. They've struggled. There's a reason why, because Duke's one of the top 3rd down defenses in the country.
Cash is looking to blitz from the right edge. You may have gotten a head start. Here he comes, trying to run down Thomas, who gets away from him and scores. Quick reaction from Thomas, who saw Cash coming and ran the other way.
Justin Thomas shows you that speed, and you watch Cash coming through, almost runs into his own defender, gets tripped, slows him up, but Thomas has great speed, and listen, he's feeling Cash come. Even if he's getting close, he's going to run a little faster, and he does a nice job. And again, 8 minutes left, Beth. Find yourself in a close game. Duke has to pick it up on offense because Georgia Tech right now is coming hot and heavy.
Justin Thomas with a touchdown run and a touchdown pass on the day. The extra point makes it a 6-point game, and now, in fact, the 2 missed PATs for the Blue Devils do come back into the discussion. An 11-play drive, 88 yards, and Thomas outruns Cash to the house. Monday Night Football featuring the Green Bay Packers and reigning league MVP Aaron Rodgers as they take on the Kansas City Chiefs. Jamal Charles and company trying to bounce back from that late fumble in the Denver loss. Monday night, it's ESPN and streaming live on your Watch ESPN app, the Packers and Chiefs on Monday Night Football. Georgia Tech with the touchdown to make this a 6-point game. Duke will have it, but first, Chris Cotter.
All right, Beth, Anthony, let's get you caught up on what's happening in the state of Michigan. First, it needs Lansing. Michigan State struggling really all day long. Here's Gerald Holmes taking it in from 3 yards out, so that gives him a little breathing room over the Chippewas. 24-10 right now. Meanwhile, Michigan hammering BYU. Bad news for Michigan, though. Devion Smith, great running back, in a walking boot right now on the sideline. That game over on ABC.
Thank you very much. Well, the Wolverines looking better and better each week, and Michigan State in a bit of a battle right now. The Duke Blue Devils at one point a 19-3 lead, strong in the first half, but Georgia Tech has shut them down so far in the second half with 3 punts and an interception. That's it for the Duke offense. Their only score was on special teams.
Well, right now they're not winning on 1st and 2nd down, and they've been setting themselves up for long 3rd down situations, and Thomas Sirk has not been pulling his weight on them 3rd down opportunities. At an interception, a poor decision to throw the ball to an open receiver down the field. He has to pick his game up and move this offense down the field.
Momentum has shifted back over to Georgia Tech as Sirk tries to move them forward. Jalade Duncan, who has returned to the Duke lineup after returning from an injury this week, missed the first 3 games. And a guy that can be a real explosive runner for them for the rest of the year. Right now, Georgia Tech wants to prevent a conversion. 3rd and 5. Sirk stepping up, throwing into traffic, and it's intercepted again. Lawrence Austin, the nickelback, and the second pick of the second half for Georgia Tech.
Right now, it just seems to me that Thomas Sirk is just already dialed in pre-snap where he's going to go and not reading this out. This guy's double covered here. Austin does a nice job of looking like he's going to the flat to the tight end, but just falling back inside, and is able to pull away and get that interception. Well done by him on that play.
Thomas now with all kinds of confidence for this Georgia Tech offense. Runs it inside the 30. A.J. Wolf with the tackle. Their rushing numbers now up to 170 on the day.
Well, momentum has definitely shifted here. We've talked about this Duke defense coming up big, Cash, and all the speed around him. But right now, they got to stand firm because Georgia Tech's in a part of the field where they've been successful, and they've been moving the ball against this defense. Let's see if they can get a hold and stop this offense.
What a shift, first half to second half. Georgia Tech holding Duke to just 35 total yards of offense. And that defensive unit has also come up with a couple of interceptions. Carlos Ray there with the tackle for the Blue Devils.
You know, Justin Thomas has done a really nice job as a quarterback of really running away from Cash, to be honest with you, number one, and making plays with his legs. And I think here in this 3rd and short, if they decide to pass it, they get him outside. He can win with his legs if the pass isn't there and move the sticks.
Off of the 2 previous turnovers, they scored 6 points, a couple of field goals. Looking for more here to try and take the lead, and on 3rd down, Thomas will need a 3rd effort, and he won't get it. Wolf wraps him up short.
That's where the defense has been its strongest, in the inside. Surprised they didn't try to get out. Wolf and Ray doing a nice job inside. To me, hit the edges, trust your A-backs and quarterback speed. 1 out of 3 so far in 4th down opportunities in this game. Georgia Tech in a must situation right now against Duke.
Scove returns in at fullback. They run Scove up the middle. The push by the Duke defensive line. And they stuff him. A.J. Wolf wins the battle up front.
Shocking play call to me. Just to me, the strength of the defense has been on the inside. And I'll tell you what, I think that's Wolf down right now. He's played a tremendous game as a run stopper.
Georgia Tech denied on 4th down, and the guy that's injured right now is the guy that made a heck of a play. 93 in black right in the middle. Got Scove low first, and then his mates drive him back. Duke with the football.
The moment's arrived. The best iPhone ever.
Well, it's obvious. Paul Johnson bringing in a play, and you see the quarterback. He's making the changes, and he's checking with me. He's telling him, changing the side of the play, and he decides to run the dive. Right there now, it looks like a defender is in the neutral zone right now, pre-snap for Duke. Referee does not call it, the line judge.
That was Dwayne Norman, whose foot may have been across the line of scrimmage. Duke gets the stop, they get the ball, and on 1st down right up the middle.
Again, as a quarterback, Justin Thomas has the power to make the decisions on that play. And right there, he changes the play, hands the ball off to Scove. The pressure and the strength of the defense now has been inside. Poor choice, whether it was play call or by quarterback, not to get outside and utilize the versatility of quarterback, running back speed.
We've seen him and his mates have more success trying to get around the edge. And meanwhile, Georgia Tech bringing some strength. Antonio Simmons, and a loss of 4 as he smashes the tailback. And it's going to set up a 3rd down.
Beth, this late in the game, doing east-west jet sweeps. Let's get downhill as an offense. Let's work the ball down the field, run the ball down the field. You're setting yourself up for an undersized defense in Georgia Tech to shoot the seams and make plays, and they're answering the bell right now against this Duke offense.
Tech will blitz their linebackers. Cirk will keep. He runs up the middle. Tripped up just across the 30, and that will be short of the first down. A.J. Gray gets him after 7 yards. And Will Monday, one of the top punters in the country, will try and send it deep.
Coach Cutcliffe right now not happy with his offense, not being able to move the ball. Talked about Gray making that tackle, true freshman, an interception today, and also at that tackle in space to bring a big quarterback down. See if Monday can change up the field possession here.
He is also their holder on PATs, and you'll note the scoreboard, 26 points for Duke. They have mishandled 2 extra points and missed them. Never even got a kickoff. And that is why Georgia Tech is a touchdown and a PAT away from a win, but the problems continue for them on special teams as a flag flies.
And that was a dangerous collision there between defender and receiving.
It appears Georgia Tech was able to get the ball back, and it may be a targeting situation on the gunner coming up the field for Duke. Number 4, John L. Barnes.
Again, you know, when you watch guys catch the punts, you see them shrink their body down and come down to the ground, and that lowers the location of where the defender is actually going to make the tackle. And this might be one of them circumstances.
The ball was muffed, recovered by Georgia Tech. The penalty is personal foul, targeting. It's a kicking team. That play is under review.
Well, here's the thing, and I think Coach Cutcliffe's talking about, watch how the punt return brings his body down to the ground. That lowers the area where Barnes is going to attack him. Again, though, Barnes has his head down. If his head's up in that circumstance, he might be able to make a cleaner tackle. Watch this. His head goes down.
Yeah, that certainly appears to be your textbook crown of the helmet. All right.
Again, punt returner making himself small there. 2 really small guys coming together, but Barnes has to keep his head up and see what he's hitting. Right there, perfect example. Some of our young players, football players watching that. Always keep your head up and see what you're going to hit, and none of this will ever happen. So dangerous really situation for both players. Fortunate 2 guys didn't get hurt on that one.
After further review, the ruling is confirmed. Player number 4 is disqualified from any further action. 15-yard penalty. First down.
Taking aim to attack an opponent in the head or neck area with apparent intent that goes beyond making a legal play. It may include launching, thrusting, or initiating with the crown of the helmet. And John L. Barnes ejected for the remainder of this game and the first half of the next game for Duke.
And that's big because he leads this team in receptions and yards, and he's been building that cohesion with Thomas Cirk. And again, it's a learning experience there as a gunner. Keep your head up, see your target, and that situation can be avoided.
Under 3 minutes to go, and a chance here for Georgia Tech. They're down 6, down to Paul.
Beth, one of Duke's best defensive linemen, defensive tackle A.J. Wolf, is not in the game right now. 93 in black, getting worked on by trainers. His neck area. You saw him walk off the field. Last defensive possession, still not in the contest. His helmet's off. I'll keep you posted.
Thank you, Paul. And it looks like he's been replaced by a freshman, Brandon Boyce, out of Fort Lauderdale up front. Second and down. Thomas, by the way, just 1 for 10 through the air in the second half. He'll elect to keep it on the ground here. Tripped up by Breon Borders. Georgia Tech has 3 timeouts remaining.
And I like that outside. Get outside the defense. You got a shot. I mean, right there, if he doesn't trip him up, Thomas is going to get big yards. Now again, a passing situation for this Georgia Tech offense, and they're going to go for it on fourth if they don't get it.
Thomas keeps it. Thomas loses it, and Duke has it. Jeremy Cash with the strip. As Thomas couldn't decide whether he wanted to hang on to it or pitch it, and Jeremy wrapped him up, and Britton Greer recovers the fumble, on the third turnover.
The defensive coordinator Jim Knowles talked about they're going to guessing game with this. Cash shooting the gaps backside of this play.
There's a fumble. That play is under further review.
Backside of this play, Cash is going to shoot it, takes a chance, and he's right there behind Thomas, and Thomas has really no idea, thinking he'll get blocked, strips the ball. This has been a Cash day. There's no question about it. This kid is everywhere, backside, front side, up the middle. He's around the football player. He's knocking footballs out. There's not really much else we can say about him, Beth. I mean, the kid's showing up on every single big play on defense, and he's been making them all.
The only question now for DC Jim Knowles is, well, maybe we ought to stick to this 4-3 a little more often. It probably doesn't matter where you put Cash. He's going to make plays for you. As a strike safety is his official term. And he gets the strip of the quarterback.
The ruling on the field is confirmed. First down, Duke.
Can Duke run it out? Their offense has struggled mightily here in the second half.
What else can you say about this young man? I mean, he plays the game the right way. He plays hard every single play. If he makes a big play, Beth, he doesn't take off the next play. He gives you constant effort, and that's what's going to make him great at the next level. I'm telling you now, mark my words when I say it. He will be a major contributor to some team next year in the NFL.
Big difference for Duke in the second half. Shaquille Powell is in it, running back. Short game. 12 tackles for Cash, 5 of them solo. He's got a sack. He has forced a couple of fumbles, and now hoping his offense can finish the job.
Signature service, baby.
Saturday Night Football comes your way from the Pac-12 with the Bruins and the Wildcats. A couple of terrific quarterbacks and the top 2 rushers in the Pac-12. Tonight at 8 o'clock on ESPN and streaming on your Watch ESPN app. Duke with the lead and the football. Georgia Tech with a couple of timeouts. As we get down to 2 minutes to go, and the Ramblin' Wreck will burn another one of those TOs. They'll be down to 1. It's been a huge day for Jeremy Cash.
Well, I know coming into this game, I knew Cash was a good player, but he's exceeded my expectations. The instincts, the intellect, his hitting ability, coming from the backside, having awareness of where the football is. He creates havoc all over the field. And folks, he's playing an outside linebacker position that he normally doesn't play game in and game out. His versatility, what he brings to the table, heck, he might be a little better than Cam Chancellor as a college player right now. God, what else can we say about this young man? He's been fantastic.
After 10 years in a row of losing to Georgia Tech, Duke is trying to make it 2 straight. The shake of the head there from Justin Thomas, who is hoping to get the ball back.
Thomas Sirk has to make a play for this Duke offense right now.
Haven't converted yet in the 4th quarter. Push at the bottom of the stack may have been enough to get it.
Yeah, it's going to be close.
Shaquille Powell with a couple of short touchdown runs in the first half. Georgia Tech will call its final timeout.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this, 4th down, and it's probably less than a yard. Your interior offensive line has gotten the job done for you in this football game. And you got a quarterback that's 225 pounds and Powell going downhill that really hasn't been stopped. If they get this first down and they go for it, Beth, the game is over. I think you put your trust in your offensive line, you believe in these players up front, and you get your quarterback an opportunity, or Powell, to go downhill and end this game for Duke.
Do you like the field goal option right here? It would make it a 9-point game, keeping in mind it would be a 47-yard attempt, and Ross Martin's long this year is 46.
Couple factors that change my mind on that sometimes is the 2 poor snaps so far, field goals, the wet conditions. To me, you try to win this game. I like the aggressiveness by Cutcliffe.
4th and 1. They run up the middle for the first down and go ahead and get the touchdown as well. The gamble pays off on a 30-yard scamper by Powell. That is his 3rd touchdown of the day.
They're going to go for 2 here. Player down on the field for Duke. Again, that surge up front. And I'll tell you, when you stack the box on a 4th and 1, you lose that second level defenders, and right there Duke takes advantage of it. Right downhill. And I think you get the feeling here right there. There's Cash. He's going to be the first one to hug his running back when he comes up to the sidelines.
He's the guy that forced the turnover, the fumble that got Duke the football. And then Powell scoring for the 3rd time for the senior from Las Vegas. Teammates there right by his side. It's been a rough year for Powell, who lost a younger brother over the summer to a battle with cancer. And his Duke teammates, he calls them his extended family here on the East Coast. A kid from Las Vegas having himself a big day against Georgia Tech. Cirk on the rollout. Fires to the corner of the end zone for McCaffrey, and he's got it for the 2-point conversion. Trying to secure a win that would leave this senior class just 5 victories shy of becoming the winningest class in Duke history.
Sprint action here. They're going to get the guy in the flat. Cirk sees the top receiver. McCaffrey, does he have possession of it before his feet go out of bounds? Cirk takes a big hit, obviously, laying that ball in there. And the question is, does McCaffrey have his feet? It looks like they're going to give it to him. Let's watch him. When does he have control of the football? Right there, he doesn't. Still bobbling it. Again, you can't tell. The ball's still moving. That's close. That is pretty close. I'd say that's a pretty good catch there.
I think that's I think we'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that one to make it 34-20. Tech needs a couple of strikes in 1:49. They scored a couple quick ones against Duke a year ago. Scored a couple of quick ones late in the Notre Dame game last week. On the return, they'll have the football out around the 37-yard line. Well, we showed you this earlier, and is this about to change significantly? According to ESPN Football Power Index, Georgia Tech a heavy favorite to win the Coastal Division, but Duke trying to put a dent in that in this, the ACC opener for both sides.
Yeah, you know, Georgia Tech has really had dominance in this game. 18 of the last 20, last 5 times actually here in Duke they've won. I'll tell you, 2 years in a row now, Duke potentially beating this team. It's impressive.
Looking deep for Ricky June, and it's incomplete. If Duke is able to hang on, pretty good schedule the rest of the way for the Blue Devils. They don't have Florida State or Clemson during the regular season. They have Miami at home. Next up is Boston College coming to town for David Cutcliffe's side.
You talk about David Cutcliffe and what he's done here. Last 3 years at Duke, 3-4 against top 25 teams, Beth. 47 straight losses prior to that. Unbelievable turnaround for this team.
Incomplete, looking for Brad Stewart.
Talk about respectability, making Duke relevant in college football, getting recruits to come here that make a difference. You look at the speed on defense. I don't know about you, Beth, but I've been impressed by these players and some of these younger players. You talk about Bear at the middle linebacker position. You know, this is a young man in his first start at that position, really standing out. These kids aren't afraid to go out there and make plays, and they're showing that Cutcliffe and company can recruit, coach, and get these players to convert on the field.
He's talking about how smart and tough is better than cool. And driving that home with his guys. And pass is out of play, and it's coming up to 4th down. Jeremy Cash chasing after Justin Thomas. You think he's pretty cool because he compared you to LeBron James. A tight end's the most versatile position out there.
The only difference between me and LeBron, of course, is our contracts. I was close, but no, I definitely didn't even sniff the contract he got. But, you know, Cutcliffe has done a great job of getting these kids to believe. And I think it shows through their play, their preparation, and going against a ranked team, beating a ranked team, that always helps.
Thomas in all kinds of trouble on 4th down. Throws it downfield, and Duke will take over on downs. Well, the other thing about Coach Cutcliffe is he has shown that he cares about opponents as well. And what a gesture it was after Pitt's James Conner lit up Duke last year for 3 touchdowns and 263 yards. He suffered a knee injury and is out for the rest of the year in their season opener against Youngstown State. And here is the note that Cutcliffe sent to Conner. A quick note: you're a great competitor. We wish you best of luck. And James tweeted back, thanks, Coach. And to Duke football, means a lot to have your well wishes, and a nice gesture from Cutcliffe.
You know, Beth, you think of David Cutcliffe, what he does for the opponents and his belief in his players, and he truly cares about each and every one of them. When I spoke to Jeremy Cash this past week, he said there are guys that come back to the facility. Duke alums, when he was the head coach at Ole Miss, those guys come back. Even back to his Tennessee days when he was the offensive coordinator with Peyton Manning and everyone else. It's the true belief and love he has for each and every one of these Blue Devils.
Yeah, that's when you know you've done something, you've made changes in their life, when they come back, not to the school, but where you are coaching currently as a head coach, and it speaks volumes. And I'll tell you what, he's a tremendous coach offensively, and he's done a great job here at Duke.
Solid defensive effort, holding Georgia Tech 30 points below their season average. They get a special teams touchdown on a 100-yard kick return. And despite some struggles for the offense in the second half, strong in that first half to open up the lead.
Yeah, Thomas Sirk obviously has some areas he can get better at. 3rd and shorts, completing passes, not telegraphing. But this guy right here, Jeremy Cash, is pretty exciting as a football player.
America said hello to Jeremy this afternoon. A big performance. Still plenty to go for you on this college football Saturday. And for more, Chris Cotter awaiting in the studio.